Hello, 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 everyone. And welcome back to season 5, episode 4 of T-Shirts and Tea Tuesday, guys, where we're always spilling the T-shirts and TT in these streets, and y'all be ready for it. So, guys, listen, we were out last week because we were celebrating, and we thank you guys for tuning in and staying up to date on what we have going on our social media platforms, which, by the way, we ask that you would like, share, and subscribe and follow us on all of our social media platforms under BIMP Corporation. Make sure that you click that notification bell so that you're notified anytime that we go live. And did I not already say? Thank you for tuning in to T-Shirts and Tea Tuesdays, guys. That's my jam. Y'all know that little theme song at the beginning, it always get me going every single time. And so that's why I love it so much. Thanks to Trey. Trey made this beat. He is phenomenal, guys. If you have not already checked him out, go on over to YouTube. He's over there. Check out some of his beats. You will love what he's putting out there. He's doing a really great job. And he's actually a native of St. Petersburg, Florida, which is where I'm a native from. So, guys, great things are coming out of St. Petersburg. We'll have more on that coming up. And I would like to go ahead and do our little informality housekeeping. Thank you so much, guys, again for joining us. Make sure that you put your comments over in the comment section so that we know that you're here. If you have any questions, anything like that, just let us know. And then I would also like to thank our production team for all of the hard work that they do to put into this show to make this show look, just fantastic. Y'all see. Which, by the way, I would like to thank my moi artist, my makeup artist, Miss Tyra Renee. Guys, if you would love for her to book her for any activity or event, you need some makeup, you need a good beat down, make sure you hit her up over on Instagram and on YouTube under Tyra Renee, Makeup by Tyra Renee. Additionally, listen, it's a lot going on here. And I know that you guys are busy and that you have a lot going on. But what I would like to say to you is I hope that you are having a fantastic, wonderful, inspiring week and that you have set your goals for the things that you would like to see come out of this week. Guys, listen, we have to speak what we want. We have to declare what we want by verbally communicating what it is that we're looking for our outcome to be. We have to write it down so that we notify ourselves like this is what is going to happen this week for me. These are the outcomes that I want to see be made manifest this week for me. So those are what we call short-term goals. Okay, so guys, listen, I have not done product reviews in quite some time, and I am ready to get going on that. We have a lot of things coming up this year, a lot of things that we're moving and shaking and baking and making. So we'll be sharing a lot of that content with you all throughout the year. But in the meantime, in between time, I have 2 books, and I actually had 3. One of them I want to say I shared last year, but there is a huge boom with Black authors. If you guys have not been paying attention and you haven't had your ear to the streets, honey, we can come spill this tea for you this evening. So my granddaughter, I'm really like reading a lot of books to her because her verbal skills are just off the charts. Okay. She has great comprehension, great understanding. And so we read at least twice a day when she comes here, if not more than that. And she has 3 books that she really loves. One is called Hair Love. I'm sure that you all know about that one. That one was actually released last year, and they actually released like a little trailer, an audio trailer for Hair Love. I couldn't find the book, probably because she loves reading it so much when she's here. But this is the book that she requires her grandfather, her pop to read to her. And this is the book that she requires her Lala, and I'm Lala. She requires her Lala to read this to her when she is here, okay, before bed. That's a must. And she probably has memorized some of the lines. That's how much we read. So I have two other books that she loves reading as well, or she loves for us to read to her as well. One is called Dazzling Dancing Divas, and I do believe I had this book online for her last season, I want to say. It's about a little black ballerina. And she has a very big imagination. So you guys want to make sure that if you have children, grandchildren, that you read this book to your grandchildren and your children. This book is just too cute. It is too cute. I love it. Easy read, very good illustrations. The pictures are beautiful and bold and colorful. I mean, you can see that. Look at the pictures. Oh my gosh. It's so awesome because she gets to see girls that look like her, right? Beautiful. Look at that. Little ballerina. These pictures are gorgeous. So make sure that you pick up a copy. I ordered this one from Amazon. It wasn't expensive at all. It might have been $5. But it's a very good read. The author of this book is Elaine Diamond Bailey. And Miss Erica L. Wilson is the illustrator of this book. So make sure that you pick up a copy for your children, your grandchildren, niece, nephew. This is a great book. And then this book is called Plane Ride to Canada. And this book is by actually their co-authors, a father and his three children wrote this book. It's a very cute book. It is the author is written by Martell Holt or Mariah Holt, Martell Holt, Malia Holt, and Martell Holt the second. Very good book. Basically, what it does is it gives every child an understanding of what to expect on a plane ride. What things happen, what processes you have to go through when you get to the airport, like going through security, having your bags checked, things like that. I mean, they really break it down to where the children understand what to expect when they go on an airplane. They talk about the turbulence on the airplane and what that means, and it's just a really good book to read. So the Dazzling Dancing Divas was already one of our granddaughter's favorite books. But Plane Ride to Canada is like her third. That's like the top third book. And we have a lot of other books by different authors, but you guys make sure that you pick up these, like literally these books are under $10. And you can purchase them on Amazon. And if you're Amazon Prime, you can get them at no cost for shipping. But they're good books. So to encourage our children in terms of reading, to increase their verbal skills and things like that, I recommend these Black authors. And keep in mind that this book right here is by the co-authors are children. So I think that that's very inspiring as well. Now, guys, we have a few guests this evening that are going to be coming forth before you today. One is a regular. He's coming and doing a segment, the GPS segment, guiding principles for success. And that's in life. That's not just in business. That's in life and everything that we do. And his name, you guys should know him. For those who are tuning in for the first time, his name is Coach Siku Obadiah. You see here his book, The Hidden Secrets to Success. Listen, people, when I tell you that he brings it, honey, he coming 200%. Not 100, but 200%. He bringing us the real grit, like the stuff that we need to know and how to make changes to our lives to better ourselves. So his name is Coach Siku Obadiah. And then we have another expert that's coming to give us some tea on how we can, as business owners and entrepreneurs, reduce the amount of federal tax income taxes that we pay as business owners, just like your Warren Buffetts and all of your billionaire business owners. He's going to give us some tips on that today. So he's in the studio. We'll be bringing him in shortly. But in the meantime, in between time, Okay, I would like to introduce Mr. DARYL Perry to you guys. He is our special guest, insurance expert of the Way of Life Group. And guys, listen, let me tell you something. DARYL he's the bomb. Okay, I had a conversation with him as well as another business owner that I invited to meet with him, and he gave us so much good information. Just in like I think we talked maybe 30 minutes, but we got a lot of good nuggets for that 30 minutes. So he is going to come in. I wanted to make sure that I brought him on the show because I want Black business owners and entrepreneurs to know that, we do well, right? When we reduce our expenses and increase the revenues that we hold on to. We profit when our profits increase and our expenses decrease. That is a win-win all the way around. So that's what we're all about, is learning how to maximize those profits, learning how to keep more money in our pockets and pay out less in expenses, as well as to the federal government legally. And he's here to give us that legal part. So in the meantime, guys, we have a trailer that we would like to release you all for our Harlem Nights with the Modern Twist 2022, which will be October 14th through the 16th, 2022. So y'all make sure that you go ahead and subscribe onto our website, put in a request for ticket sales so that when that information is released, you'll be in the know. You'll be the first one to know. Tune in real quick, and I'll be right back.
It's a For Us By Us extravaganza in celebration and support of Black brands and Black business excellence. Ignite Youth Incorporated presents to you Harlem Nights with a Modern Twist 2022 extravaganza, October 14 through 16, 2022. Business owners, entrepreneurs, and executives, join us for an exclusive B2B networking brunch. Families, enjoy our kids zone, shop Black business vendors, and eat from the best food trucks at our vendor festival. Grown folk, come party with us as we dance the night away. Check out our Harlem Nights fashion show, designs by fashion designers from all around the country. Enjoy casino games, signature cocktails, good eats, and our awards ceremony at our cocktail reception. Harlem Nights 2022 extravaganza will be an event you don't want to miss. Harlem Nights with a Modern Twist 2022 extravaganza, October 14 through 16, 2022, in lovely downtown St. Petersburg, Florida. We'll see you there. To learn more, pre-register for tickets, or as a vendor, visit www.mypimp.com.
Okay, so guys, y'all might be wondering, because I know inquiring minds want to know, what is up with this Harlem Nights thing? Listen, Harlem Nights is all about celebrating and supporting Black businesses, Black business owners and entrepreneurs. This is what Harlem Nights is all about, guys. Listen, I was listening to Hill, oh my gosh, what is his last name? He's actually a celebrity, right? I was listening to him, and he was talking about how the buying power for Black people has increased from $1.3 trillion a year to $1.7 trillion a year. We are spending as a people $1.7 trillion a year. So with that being said, a lot of times, I've talked to a lot of Black people, and a lot of us are very interested in supporting each other. We just don't know where to go. We're stretched between all of these different groups that we're a part of on social media platforms. And so what we wanted to do is bring Black businesses together to celebrate the excellence that a lot of our Black businesses own. Okay. And the expert that we have coming on tonight, he's one of those individuals. He's one of those individuals who represents excellence in business. And so we want to bring exposure to Black businesses. We want to begin to circulate those dollars within Black businesses, because guess what? When we patronize Black businesses, we're bringing money back to our community. Right? Our dollars are the dollars that are keeping many of these larger corporations alive, like your Walmarts, your Amazons, your eBays, Sam's Club, all of these big corporations, that $1.7 trillion is what we're pouring into those corporations. And then guess what? When we want to apply for a sponsorship or a grant, we've got to compete with everybody else, right? We've got to compete, and many times we don't get those dollars that we're asking for, but we're putting more in the pot than we're actually getting back. So this is our way of investing in ourselves. This is something exclusively for us, for us, by us. And so listen, this is what it's all about. It's all about celebrating Black businesses. So guys, just stay tuned. We are going to be giving you more information about Harlem Nights. There's a lot of big things transpiring right now. Y'all, these lights are hot. I'm sorry. These lights are hot. Hot lights. But we'll be providing you with more information to come about Harlem Nights. So stay tuned to that. In the meantime, in between time, let's get on with this expert advisor, Mr. DARYL Perry, honey. We are going to go ahead and bring him on to the platform. And y'all join me in welcoming Mr. DARYL Perry to the platform. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
I think what you're trying to ask is why am I so insistent upon giving out to them that blackness, that black power, that black pushing them to identify with black culture. I think that's what you're asking. I have no choice over it in the first place.
The blacker the berry, the more it can heal. We stay in tune with our ancestors so we can feel you're in the presence of a king. I ain't making you kneel. We took the project to the runway. Let's Heidi Musil, you get it? We do more than put up triple doubles, run a huddle, engineers, and we ain't making trouble. Well, only gift is good. Our time is coming soon. Before Mike moonwalk, we put men on the moon. Go ahead and cap that. Make something out of nothing, now that's black. Pray to God my people don't snap back. So position to avoid this black cat. I hope my mama proud cause I'm spreading peace. You didn't hear us struggle, so now we mumble on beats. Instead of hearing us teach, think of the things that we reach. Changing the world we preach, fighting your wars on the beach. My mind's a weapon, that's the only way I shoot you. So what you got to be scared of? I'm Black Future. Blacker than chitlins, blacker than hip-hop, blacker than Chadwick, blacker than Frederick, blacker than Denzel, blacker than Tupac. Check your history, cause we got stacks. The whole world's been holding us back. I'm celebrating, I'm black. Blacker than Misha, blacker than Maya, blacker than Nina, blacker than Shirley, blacker than Oprah, blacker than Angela. Check our history, cause we got stacks. The whole world's been holding us back. I'm celebrating, I'm black.
To me, we are the most beautiful creatures in the whole world. Black people. I mean that in every sense, outside and inside. And to me, we have a culture that is surpassed by no other civilization. We don't know anything about it. My job is to somehow make them curious enough, persuade them by hook or crook to get more aware of themselves and where they came from and what they are into and what is already there, just to bring it out. This is what compels me to compel them, and I will do it by whatever means necessary.
Yeah. I was like, what? He spit on lyrics like that? I love it. Welcome to the platform, Mr. DARYL Perry.
Thanks for having me, Queen.
Yes. Let me tell you something. That whole trailer was so befitting of our theme. So our theme this month, or this season for TeeShirtz and Tea Tuesdays, or for BIMP Corporation as a whole, is the repair of the Black family. And so I told you when we spoke, when we actually spoke and I actually met you, I'm like, dang, you know what you talking about with the insurance and everything. I'm like, this is exactly what it's all about. This is what it's all about right here. is, finding ways to figure out
Mm-hmm.
how the most successful people are able to go, and billionaires
Yep.
are able to go and not pay $0 in federal income taxes.
That's true.
Like, and it's crazy because we're like I said before, we're the ones we're making them trillionaires, millionaires,
Yeah,
billionaires. We're making them all of the coins that they keep in their pockets, us.
this
That
is true.
melanin, bam. So, Daryl, before I get too far into my spiel or what have you, I want you to give the people a little something, like tell them who you are, tell them about yourself, and what it is that you do.
Yeah, perfect. Well, first off, thanks again for having me on the platform. I appreciate it.
Thank
I
you
run an
for
insurance
coming.
agency. It's been 9 years in the making, running an insurance agency. And I started it kind of with not knowing insurance, but
Mm,
seeing that it was something people need. So now I run an agency that helps small businesses figure out ways to put benefits together, as well as insurance for themselves to help them build tax-free retirement income, and
mm,
also just to help them avoid compliance issues with not offering the right benefits. So basically undoing a lot of the wrongs in our community.
mm-hmm,
Most Black folks think of insurance like a bill, or they remember the insurance guy coming by at the funeral home after somebody passed away. I'm trying
mm-hmm,
to recreate that because the white version of that isn't that. When you see a white insurance professional, it's usually your financial advisor. They're in a bank. It's more professional. So
mm-hmm,
my goal is the Way of Life group, kind of helping make insurance easy and help you
mm-hmm.
understand how I can help you get ahead if it's done the right way.
Oh yeah, I love it. I love it. And that's some of the stuff that we talked about too, was the insurance, and there was so many employee benefits, y'all. Small business owners can provide employee benefits to our staff. So like this is, or we can offer it. So
Right.
these are some of the things that we discussed when I spoke with you. Now
Yeah.
I want to ask you a question, because most of us are just now getting to the place where we pick up extra life insurance for on ourselves,
Uh huh.
and we're starting to delve in a little bit more into the insurance industry. But there are a couple things that you shared with me in terms of wealth generation through the purchase of life insurance that I would like for you to kind of go into. But
Okay.
before you do that, I want to ask you, what are some of the biggest myths you've come across when presenting life insurance opportunities to our community?
Oh yeah. So a big one is it's a gamble. Like, oh, it's a gamble. Now, my father fell victim to this because he was in the military at 19, and they showed
Mhm.
him term life insurance as a 19-year-old. So when you
Mm,
hear as a 19-year-old, hey, if you don't die in 30 years, nothing happens,
right.
that's where he got the idea of a gamble, because typically our people are sold term because it's cheap. Whenever you see those commercials on
Mm,
TV, or Colonial Penn, for example, they always have a black guy there for Colonial Penn saying,
yeah.
get life insurance for $10 a month.
Mm,
And you can, but that's term. It's going to run out eventually. So people think
mm,
all life insurance is a gamble, but the
okay.
permanent life insurance is guaranteed. When you have a permanent
Gotcha.
policy, all of us die. And I
Right.
hate to be morbid, but that's just a fact of life. So permanent insurance is always a guarantee. But if
Mm,
you only hear term, that's a big thing with our community, is that it's a gamble. And then
right.
also I hear they didn't pay. They didn't pay the insurance. Now, some of
Mhm.
that is basically a bad company. Unfortunately, some of our people have kind of predicated this by just selling cheap policies to people.
Yeah.
The most common I'll see is they sell accidental life insurance, but that's only if you
Yeah.
die of an accident. So I don't
Gotcha.
want to badmouth any company, but some companies push it all the time because it's
Right.
cheap and they get a quick sale. But then when the
Mm,
person has that death happen from cancer, they're like, hey, where's my benefit for my life insurance? They're like, well, you got the wrong kind. So part
wow.
of it's financial literacy for us to kind of read what you're buying, but it's
Mm-hmm.
also just some people predicate the issue by just getting a quick sale. So that's probably the main two.
Okay.
And the last is just people just hear this whole myth of buy a term, invest the difference. Now, I wouldn't
Mm,
say it's a myth, but it's not explained correctly.
okay.
Usually you'll see Susie Orman, Dave Ramsey's, people like that saying buy a term, invest the difference. When they say that, one, they work for banks. So
Mm, mhm,
banks incentivize them to sell certain products. But the
mhm,
idea of it was you would quote a more expensive permanent policy, and they say,
mhm.
okay, instead of doing that, if that costs $100 and the term costs 20, you're supposed to invest the 80 in something else like a mutual fund or a stock. Problem is,
Right.
people don't do that. They just hear I save money and move on. So like, oh, it's 20 instead of 100. Okay, I'll just go spend the 80 on whatever I want to spend it on.
Right.
So
Right.
it's not fully explain what you're supposed to do. But if you ever cornered one of them in the corner to say, hey, what do you do? I can guarantee you they have permanent life insurance because it always pays out and it has cash value that's tax free. So that's a big one that we kind of hear these talking heads, which no shade on them or anything. It's just that's what they get paid to do. But if you know who's paying them, it's like a bank's not going to tell you don't do what benefits a bank. The bank's going to say, get a credit card, get a mutual fund, get a CD, the stuff that they make money off of, not life insurance because they don't make money off of that. So that's the biggest three, I'd say.
Got you. So then what do you say to people who are like, well, I have life insurance through my job?
Yeah, so that's a common one, but I have to ask people, like, what happens when you don't work there anymore? And they usually like, I don't know. Problem. And I'll let them know that that's a term policy. The term is with the company. Okay. Usually if you get free life insurance or like pennies on the dollar for it, that's usually the term of why you work there. So it's not 20 years or 30 years. It's just the term is while I work here, I'm covered for that. Now I've been doing this 9 years. I've probably once had somebody actually die that was working on the job and had life through the company help them. It's usually outside of work or something like that where it happens, like they're like between jobs. So I've rarely had it happen while they were employed. So that's one that it's like, it's comforting to say, oh, I have life insurance, but they're usually small policies like $15,000, $25,000, and they don't have cash value. So people will mistakenly do this or have the policy while they work and then they retire. So they're 65, 60, whatever age, and they're like, oh, wait, I need life insurance now. And in my experience, when people call me saying I need life insurance, it usually means they can't get it. Because when you need life insurance, you're probably too old. You had some illness, like you said, hey, I just found that I had cancer, I need life insurance. Or hey, I just found that I have this, I need life insurance. That's too late. So anybody that has life insurance through their job, it's great if it's free and all that, but make sure you get something else you can control, because a big thing with insurance, for life at least, it's just cheapest the day you look at it. Life insurance is cheapest the day you look at it. So you're never going to wake up 10 years from now and say, oh, it's cheaper. That's not how it works. You're looking at your age. So the people that wait, so I'm going to wait till I'm 50 to buy life insurance. No, I know many people of less melanation that buy life insurance when kids are born. They'll be 0 years old and buy life insurance. And as long as you do the right way, that's a great strategy because it ensures you the cheapest rate. And again, all of us pass away. So you're a guaranteed bet that you'll get more out of it than you put into it.
Awesome. That's some good tea right there. Let me go ahead, because this is T-Shirts and Tea Tuesdays, y'all.
I spilled the tea.
You spilling it, so I had to go on and drink some of that up. That is some good information. Now, let me say this from personal experience. I've had a lot of family members pass away. They have no life insurance at all.
Yep.
So now we down to selling fish dinners. We asking other people to help donate.
GoFundMe.
Yeah. And then, most times it ended up in cremation. And then, you have some type of informal ceremony. But then there are all of these other obligations that are left behind for family members to deal with. What are some of the things that as a people we need to understand on how having insurance can definitely lead to generational wealth for the next generation?
Yeah, great question. So first off, insurance is not the sexy generational wealth method. It's easy to go on Clubhouse, Instagram, something like that, and see buy a multiplex. Invest in dividend paying stocks and reinvest them. And those are great strategies. But the problem is there's a barrier to entry. Everybody doesn't have the credit and the capital to buy a multiplex. It's great if you can do it, but everybody can't get into real estate. There's a barrier to it. Everybody's not a financial stock wizard to trade stocks and do Bitcoin and all this stuff. So usually in those rooms you'll hear this is for generational wealth, which a small select few can do that. They know what they're doing. Life insurance is the only super easy way for generational wealth because part of it's designed for that. It's made to say when you pass away, this generation's over, that generation gets a check. So it's the most pure, easy way of generational wealth. So I often get mad hearing those rooms and like listening to that, like, why isn't anybody talking about the easiest way to do it? That if Billy passes away, sister gets $50,000. That's wealth. Wow. Look at Master P. Master P is probably the biggest example. His grandma had a life insurance policy, passed away. He was a beneficiary. I think he got like 10 grand and he used that to make no limit records. With $10,000 that gave him the wealth because he didn't have the money to start a record label. So that helped him do it. So that's a big issue is that when you hear generational wealth, I think it was Dr. Umar mentioned this a few years ago, like we don't invest in life insurance enough because our white brothers and sisters do it like nothing. But we have this stigma of thinking like, well, I got to do something flashier and fancy, like buy a bunch of properties. And the challenge with that is those are all taxed. When you think of generational wealth, nobody thinks about taxes. So if you have a bunch of properties you're, will to somebody else, when you pass away, they got to pay estate taxes to transfer that to you. So that's not like an easy, just like stroke it and that's it. You got to pay taxes on that. And there's property taxes and other things. So life insurance is not taxed. There are 5 parts of life insurance in the tax code that are built for just life insurance specifically. So if you ever get really bored one day and look at the tax code, there are 5 parts that specifically speak about life insurance being tax-free. So when you think of that, a lot of these big corporations you mentioned earlier, like Disney, for example, Disney used life insurance to get started because his parents bought a policy for him, Walt Disney, back when he was young. Policy gained cash value. And then he's in the 1920s asking people to say, hey, give me money to start a company that has a theme park with a mouse. So if you think about that in the terms of the 20s, like who's going to give, I'm not going to give you any money for a theme park with a mouse. So he had to call his life insurance company and said, hey, I got cash value in there, right? Yep. I need all of it, or I don't know how much he took, but basically I need money out of my life policy. Okay. There's no approval. There's no underwriting. There's no application. You just call and say, give me what I have. And that let him start Disney. So these are things that our people think of these flashy ways for generational wealth, but this one of the biggest corporations of all time used a very slow and steady method of life insurance is tax-free, and they can build and follow the stock market without having the risk. And then I can get the money tax-free. So that's something big that we don't look at the slow and easy methods. We're looking at what's the flashy way. And I understand it gets attention and eyeballs, but if you actually sit someone down that has generational wealth, they'll probably tell you life insurance has something to do with it.
Wow, that is like super duper interesting. I know I've heard another financial advisor kind of say the same thing, and it makes so much sense that to us it's like, sometimes we feel like we have to go the difficult way, and I know that oftentimes as well we put life insurance as an optional expense. So like if we running short in our budget for something, the life insurance is like the first thing to get X. We X it off real quick because we think that it really isn't significant.
A colleague of mine I was with earlier today, I had a client I was helping earlier, and she mentioned that she had a life policy her parents got when she was young, and she's Hispanic, but like Hispanic and white. And she mentioned that my parents got me this policy when I was buying a house. I didn't have enough money to buy the house. So I used my life insurance to help with the down payment. And we're talking to these Hispanic people about why they need life insurance. And they're like, really? Like, yes, it's your money. If you ever go do a FAFSA application for financial aid, it'll ask you about 401k, income, assets, property, ask you everything on there except life insurance. The only thing they don't ask you for is that because that is not taxed. So they want the stuff that's taxed. They want the stuff that's on your financial statements to say, okay, when you apply for financial aid, we need to know all the taxable stuff. But they don't ask about life insurance. So you can use it for college or buying a house or going on a vacation, whatever you want. But it's just only in the wealthy circles who hear it. So if you ever kind of listen to podcasts about buying properties and stuff like that, every once in a while you hear somebody sprinkle in there like, yeah, I borrowed against my life insurance to buy a property, then I flipped it, yada, yada, yada. It's like a very small, quick mention. It's never like focused on. You'd be like, wait a minute, what did he say 5 seconds ago? And it's missed because all people hear is like, oh, I bought a property. I invested in something. They don't hear like, where did it come from? And that's the part that I wish people would slow down more, because basically insurance is boring overall. So I have to go rap on LinkedIn and rap on YouTube to get attention and say, hey, pay attention to this. That's the reason why I made that video. Like I had to put different content out there to say, hey, this is important. I'm going to catch your attention with something different. But realize my work is to help you build generational wealth the easy way and hopefully the best way for you.
Man, this is like you said, this is like the topic that most people are like, oh, but but it's not until you have to either, bury a child, a spouse, a family, like your mother or father, and you realize the significance of what life insurance would have done for you in that instance. But now understanding it from a perspective of when you have perm life insurance, you can actually borrow against it for life issues, like things that you want to do in life, like starting a business or like you said, purchasing a house. Like had I known these things, my husband and myself known these things earlier, like in our 20s, we would have made a whole lot of different decisions. But the only life
Right.
insurance that was ever presented to us was term life insurance. So it was
Yeah, and
kind
it's
of like,
easy to sell that. It takes less time. I mean, everybody here has
yeah.
auto insurance. So whoever your auto insurance person has probably sent you an email or called you or told you at review, hey, you want to get some life insurance? And they
Right, right,
always
right.
show you term because for
Yeah.
one, they're auto insurance people. They're not really life
Gotcha.
insurance people. So they're just like, hey, what's the quick, easy sell so the boss gets off my back? But
Right, got
when you
you.
think about the word, it's life insurance. That's the problem. The branding's been bad. People think of it like death insurance all the time.
Right,
But it's
yep.
technically life insurance. It's been called that from inception when it first came out as life insurance because permanent insurance was more the crux of it. Term was
Okay.
more of a thing later on, but permanent was
That
the
was
main thing to
it.
say, hey, when people die, which we all do, how can we help build risk and insurance into that? So permanent was the first thing. Term
Gotcha.
came later, but we always say life insurance, we think of death. So if you think of the real thing is that it's really for life. It's supposed to be for different stages of your life. So when you mentioned being in your 20s, buying it when you're young, it's the cheapest it's ever going to be. It's
Right.
never going to get cheaper. So you get to kind of build on top of that. And I always explain to people that permanent life insurance is like a reverse credit card. With a credit card, if you pay the minimum, you always have debt. You never really get ahead. It just stays at that debt the whole time. But with permanent life insurance, when you pay the minimum, you have a death benefit. So if you pay extra, you start to have cash value. So they call it overfunding. So if you ever overfund the life policy, the extra amount you send them goes straight to a cash value account. It doesn't go towards death benefit. It's just straight for cash. So this is where you watch football at all?
Yeah. My husband
Okay,
is a
so
football fan.
okay, so in college football, the coach of Michigan or University of Michigan, Jim Harbour, he asked for permanent life insurance for his retirement package. So now the only reason we know this because it's a public college. If it was a private institution, we wouldn't know it, but it's a public college. So he asked, say, hey, I don't want a 401k. So shocker for that. People are like, you didn't want a 401k, you want a match? No, he asked for permanent life insurance. He gets $14 million over 7 years while he's coaching the team in permanent life insurance that he can take with him when he leaves. So that $14 million is very overfunding the policy. Nobody's life insurance costs $14 million over 7 years. Nobody costs $2 million a year. So that extra is funding his cash value. So when he leaves coaching, he's going to have a hefty nest egg that's tax-free that when he passes away, his kids will get it. Or when he's living, hey, you know what? Let's go to Hawaii for a month. Okay, I'm going to use my life insurance to pay for it. And you can do that whenever you want to.
Dang, man. We've been like, we've been hoodwinked, bamboozled.
I don't even know if it's I think it's like a game we didn't know the rules for.
Yeah,
I'm
we
a big
did
fan
not.
of.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan of Wu-Tang. If you've seen that Wu-Tang show, The American Saga, there's an episode where Divine says like, hey, the law system is written for people like us to not understand it.
Right.
So it's written for like lawyers to understand it. So insurance is almost the same thing. Insurance is written for like insurance people to understand. But the average person, I literally was, before I got working with my agency, my wife would send benefits to me. So she said, hey, it's open enrollment. Tell us what to get. Now I had no clue what I was doing. I would just log into a website and see what's the cheapest. Because nobody sat down with me to give me the education. They're like, hey, it's open enrollment, check the boxes and make sure you're done.
Right.
Then I remember seeing cancer insurance as an option. And I'm like, well, neither one of us has cancer, so we don't need that. That's what I thought it was. I thought it was if you had cancer, you get cancer insurance.
Yeah.
And then later on, I found out like, oh, it's if you get cancer, it'll pay for chemo and days in the hospital and surgery. And I'm like, man, I wish my aunt would have had that when she died in 2010 because she had cancer and chose chemo with the kids.
Wow.
Most Black mothers would say, I'm going to choose my kids because they're like, I got to take care of my kids. But she didn't have a choice of even choosing chemo because she didn't have the money for it. So that's where that education, I think, is our biggest issue, is that we hear about these other things like buy property, get stocks, and all these things, get crypto, but not like, life insurance has been around since back when boats brought stuff to this country. It's like the oldest financial instrument. We just don't think it's sexy.
Right, exactly. I had I'm gonna share this and then we're gonna move on to the business part of it. But one of my cousin's son got into a really bad car accident. I mean, it was pretty much could have been fatal. I mean, he was unconscious for quite a few months.
Oh man.
And so when he came to, he had to do physical therapy and things like that. And so of course, when you deal with something as tragic as that, she nor her husband left their son's bedside. It was like that, right? And so one of the things that they asked for from the family when people wanted to know, well, what can we do to help, one of the things that they asked for was like, hey, we need somebody to, you know, pay life insurance for us for this month. Somebody else can do it for that month. But that was like at the top of her list of requests, like right along with rent. Like it literally, it was above rent. I'm gonna say that it was above rent. It was like the number one thing that she requested. And, you know, there was some of our family members like, what? Life insurance? Like, you know, that kind of thing, but not really looking at what she was dealing with at that moment in time, how that was important to her situation and, you know, more, you know, and she was one of those individuals that got life insurance for her children when they were babies, like first newborns.
Yeah, smart. And then she was probably thinking he's bedridden, so if I'm gone, there's no chance for him. So that was a smart mom decision. But like you said, most of us think, oh, it's the life insurance. I'm healthy. I don't need that. And the thing people always tell me something, I'm not planning on dying. It's the dumbest thing to say, but it's like, who's planning on dying? Like, I didn't come here to tell you to buy something because you're dying next week. I'm just saying it's going to happen. And I had to come to terms with that because one of my first claims was I started in 2013 and I had my first claim 9 months later. I had a daycare I worked with. The owner had a son that worked for her. He was 19, I believe. And she's like, hey, he's engaged to get married. So I want to buy a life policy for him just so she doesn't have to worry about that as a new wife. Because she thought she always had life insurance to say, hey, I want my kids to have it because it's just a good thing to have. So I think I just asked her, like, hey, do you want life insurance? No fancy sales pitch, no slick line. Just, hey, do you want life insurance? And then bought the policy for him. And then 9 months later, he got shot. Wrong place, wrong time. Really good kid. He worked at a daycare. So he wasn't like gang banging or anything crazy. He was just hanging out with his friends at a party. Something popped up and he unfortunately was on first 48. It was like one of those situations that was on TV with A&E. And she got paid the full claim, but it was like that one question changed her situation. Because I always think about that. Like this one question I asked somebody can make a difference in their life, positive or negative. So if they listen to the question, not in the push, you would be like, hey, if you pass away, how would your family take care of the legacy? Or how would they take care of things? A question like that makes you think, like, I never thought about that. Well, now that I said it, tell me what your thought process is. And when they don't have an answer, I'm like, well, we should probably do something for this because unfortunately, if you don't do something, you're going to remember this conversation. Whenever something comes with somebody else, you're going to remember like, yeah, that guy asked me one time, how would I take care of it? And I didn't have an answer. So my goal is to help you have an answer before it comes up. But I just asked her and then she was taken care of. So I think it's very serious that it's not fun to think about. Talking about death is not my most fun thing. Even though I work in insurance, I do not like talking about death. It's not a fun thing. I'm a very optimistic, upbeat person. So that's the last thing I want to talk about. But on the other side of that is like, if I don't talk about it and I'm gone, like what happens to the kids? Are they going to have a bad life? So it's not fun, but we need to have these conversations, especially in our community, because GoFundMe is not a thing. Just GoFundMe's for pay my rent, party, stuff like that. So when the real things show up, people can't see the real thing. They're like, is this a real GoFundMe or just you ran out of money playing around?
Yes.
So we need guaranteed thing that this is a guaranteed promise to pay you, that when this happens, you get paid. So we could change our mind to understanding the investment. If everybody talks about generational wealth, you need to have life insurance. Nothing else does it like that. I love property and all that, but the only thing that is really designed in the financial system is life insurance. It's not an IRA. It's not a 401k. It's not stocks. None of that stuff is past tax-free. This is the only one. So if you narrow that down to cut the clutter down, that's the only one, people can kind of say, you know what, they're right. That's what it is. But just look around. I work with 200 different carriers just to be transparent. So I never just say, this is your only option. I'll send you more than you want to see. Whatever you want to see, I'll give you all of them. You want to see all of it, it's 200. So I want to make it simple though. But I tell people that just to be honest, like, hey, I'm not a one-trick pony. I'm not the Allstate guy that all I have is Allstate. It's whatever you need because everybody's different. If you have mental health issues, diabetic, cancer, there's all different kinds of people. So that's why I offer options that make sure they fit.
I love that. So let me ask you a question for a viewer that's watching and say they're like 40, in their mid 40s, early 50s, and they say, you know what, I've never had life insurance. I'm in good health. I want to try to get some perm life insurance. I know that you can't give a specific dollar amount, but what would you see? Around what amount would they pay on a monthly basis versus someone who gets life insurance at 25?
Yeah, I mean, in general, if somebody can say they can do like $50 to $100 a month for permanent life insurance, they can probably do something where it at least builds cash. Because some permanent policies would be just death benefits, so like a whole life policy. That's primarily just for death benefit. But if they get like universal life or something like that, 50 to 100, I have plenty of people that say, hey, I can't do a lot. So that's fine. You don't have to do a lot, because the cool thing about it is if you have like a good year, you can dump it in the policy. So this is where tax season I get upset, because in tax season, all you hear on the radio and stuff is buy a new pair of rims, get that new radio system, buy a PlayStation 5.
Good tea, good tea.
That stuff doesn't last. So if you say, hey, I'm not making a lot of money, but I get a tax refund every year, well, hey, dump half of it into your life insurance. At least that's better than buying a game system. Nothing's wrong with playing games, but when you think about what you're looking at, if you're an adult, like you're an adult, you have kids, think about this. And plus it's for you. Best case scenario, kids are good, but you say, you know what, I want to retire early. You can use your life insurance for that. So, you know, I want to go on a trip. You can use your life insurance for that. So if you understand it's life, not death insurance, that's one thing to help people understand is you can do what you want. Even if you say only like $50 now, you can always add to it in the future because you're running the bank. It's your own personal bank. So you can say, I want to dump more into it. Okay, they're not going to tell you. I promise you, no life insurance company will say, please don't send us extra money.
Right.
They're not going to say that.
Exactly. All right. So this is a really, really good information. I hope that our viewers as individuals, that you all have taken notes, guys, that you see that his website is www.thewayoflifegroup.com. You can also schedule an appointment with him. We have his Calendly below, so make sure you take a screenshot of it. I know y'all, if you're watching on your phone, take a screenshot so that you can go back later to schedule a consultation with him. Now it's time to get down into the business part of our conversation.
Okay.
But we're going to get into that right after this quick commercial. We'll be right back.
Welcome to BEMP, Black Heritage Enterprise Marketplace Corporation, an e-commerce enterprise platform created for Black business owners and empowered buyers across the globe. We are the platform that empowered buyers frequent most, the enterprise that our employees love working for, the parent company of BEMCO, Black Entrepreneurs Marketplace, a Black-owned e-commerce Black business membership marketplace, and a marketing and advertising platform for Black business owners. We provide a variety of features such as a Black business directory for both state and national searches and targeted product and service searches. Black business owners, advertise and market your brand to the most important consumers on earth with BEMP. Black business owners, join BEMP today. BEMP Corporation.
Okay, so welcome back, everyone, to T-Shirts and Tea Tuesdays, honey, where we bring you all of the good tea concerning business and life. Okay, so tonight we have, this evening on T-Shirts and Tea Tuesdays, we have our expert guest advisor, Mr. DARYL Perry. He is our expert for this evening. He's going to share with us how, as business owners, we can maximize our profits by reducing the amount of federal income taxes we pay. And so, guys, listen, you want to be a part of this conversation. We've already, if you've missed it for the individual side of insurance, make sure you go back this evening and check out this show, this tonight's episode, to learn about the individual side. So with that being said, let's get into it. Let's get into it. Yes. Let us know, because we want to know what was Warren Buffett doing that he can pay $0 in income tax returns.
Yeah, so first off is a disclosure for all this. We're not talking about the Donald Trump way of paying no income tax of like inflating assets and lying about stuff. We're talking about the legit follow it by the book thing. So a lot of people might remember, I think it was 2019, people got mad that Jeff Bezos paid $0 in taxes with Amazon.
Yeah.
They're like, how in the world is Amazon paying $0 in taxes? He must be crooked and all this stuff. And when it comes down to it, a lot of it is tax credits. Now, a tax credit, for anybody that's filed their taxes at least once in their life, a tax credit is like free money from the government. They're basically saying there's credit for, like a lot of people know the child tax credit. That's one we're all familiar with, where if you have kids, you get that credit for having a certain number of kids. So we get that element with tax credits for children. There's one that's been around since 1996 called the Work Opportunity Tax Credit. WOTC, but Work Opportunity Tax Credit. Now, oddly enough, when I ask employers if they heard of this, barely any say they ever heard of it. They think it's new. It's been around since 1996 and it's slated to go till 2025. probably going to go longer, but they got to do that kind of as a legislative vote every year.
Right.
So it's been around since 1996, and basically what it is the government gives credits for hiring certain kinds of people. So it can be a veteran, summer employee, like summer hires. A lot of us have seen dollar stores, for example, saying we're looking to hire 16 and 17-year-olds. That's not just because they're cheap. They also get credits for that.
Wow.
Ex-felons. If somebody was a felon, we'll see people that say, proud to hire felons, give them a second chance. Sometimes that's a mission statement, but also they get a credit for that. Long-term unemployed. If they've been unemployed for more than 4 weeks, or depending on the states, like 4 to 8 weeks, there's credits for that. So basically what's happening, every employer now is having this issue with finding good workers. And Amazon was faced with this, but basically you would see headlines about Amazon doing $3,000 hiring bonuses. Now, the reason they were doing that wasn't every single person was up to $3,000, but certain people that would see, oh, Bill applied and he's worth $9,000 for a credit. I'll give him $3,000. I'm going to get $9,000. I'll give him $3,000. And that's what basically Amazon did, that actually 30% of their workers probably qualify for tax credit based on their wage. Because the big two for their workers is if you have a household that gets food stamps, or if you're TANF, temporary assistance for needy families, you're in one of those zip codes that have that. So basically based on their workers are hourly and they get a certain wage, a lot of them qualify for that tax credit. So if you think of all the workers in Amazon, if 30% get a tax credit that's as low as $2,000, as high as $10,000 or $9,000, then kind of do the math that he gets a lot of tax credits. So he had expenses that kind of took down things on his taxes, but the credits are, that's something you can't make up. Like an expense, when you have payroll and all that stuff, that's going to kind of do its own thing on taxes. But a credit's just, hey, well, this is magic. I got $2,000 for just showing up. And since most employers need to find workers nowadays, because there's this whole labor shortage, quote unquote, which we'll dig into, but they need workers. Now they can say, if I hire somebody, I get paid by the government to do so.
Yeah, that is super interesting, especially like you said, coming off of the pandemic and, the unemployment numbers were high. And so this is a very good incentive for business owners to hire people that fit into this particular demographic. I also think that it's interesting that a lot of these larger corporations took advantage of the PPP loans and the advanced EIDL targeted EIDL grants.
They took all the grants. They took all the money. I mean, even had the ERC, the ERC, the Employee Retention Credit. You got tax credits for keeping people during COVID. So they just took anything they could. Yeah. But much to your point, they have the bandwidth. Usually, like a large corporation, they have a legal department, CFO, and all this, so they can keep an eye on this stuff. But the small business is like, well, it's just me. I have one assistant. So part of it is partnering and having synergy with other people, because prior to this, I would just tell somebody like, hey, just go to the IRS website, fill the forms out. But I kind of started seeing like, well, they need more bandwidth for it. So some insurance carriers will help you with that by saying, hey, if you offer our products at no cost to you, we'll also help you attach credits. So you mentioned earlier benefits. A lot of benefits don't cost an employer. Most people think because they work at a large corporation, they would see, oh, I work for Delta Airlines and they're paying half my health insurance. Now, when you get to a large corporation, they almost have to do that for large corporations. But a small business will say, hey, I'll just offer you dental. I'm not going to pay for half of it. I'll offer it to you, and I get a lower rate by offering it to you. So all of these things that you need to hire people, that's what's going on. It's not really a labor shortage. It's more like the standards have increased. So you think about your first job. My first job was working at a Wendy's. No, actually, Old Country Buffet, washing dishes. So then my next job was working at a store selling TVs. Then it was like you was up things. Yeah. So COVID kind of showed standards have been changed. People had standards before COVID that have increased. They say, you know what? I deserve $15 an hour. I kept hearing about it during the election. They've been debating it in the election for the whole 6 months of debating. I deserve $15 an hour. Or, hey, they're talking about maternity leave. I deserve to work someone that has maternity leave. So what's happening is people raise their standards. So there's no labor shortage. It's you don't give a right offer. Your offer isn't right. So offering benefits is one way, but using these tax credits to make the offer better, to say, hey, I'm going to get $2,000 hiring you. I'll give you a $500 hiring bonus. That's okay. And that's what's happening. So all these places you see doing hiring bonuses, some of it is they're ponying up the money, but a lot of it is they're seeing you qualify for credit, and then they'll give you an offer based off of that credit.
Got you. Now that's, hold on, let me get
all the tea.
Man, this is some good tea. It's like having this conversation with you is so essential because a lot of us, what we've learned to do is kind of like outsource work because we really just, on top of paying, for unemployment benefits, workers' compensation, all of the Social Security, Medicare, and all of that, many of us are misinformed. So having this type of information coming across the platform like that, when it comes to like hiring employees and the deductions that we get for that, it makes things kind of round off a little bit. You get what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Most of the
Yeah, and it
time,
creates that stability too.
yeah, yeah, it makes us feel like, oh, well, I can't hire someone full time because if I hire them full time, I'm gonna have to pay benefits, so it's already enough that I'm having to match what they're paying for Social Security and for taxes. Now now I have to match that, and then I have to match the insurance too. So it makes it
Right.
seem as though you're paying more than what you really can afford to have full-time employees. So what a lot of people are doing is shipping jobs off to overseas,
Yep.
paying other individuals from overseas because they come at a cheaper rate. But
And this
this
is
kind
partly why
of
that credit exists. That's partly what they started doing the credit. Like, we need to incentivize
okay,
people to hire domestically because you can't get this credit for hiring abroad. They're not a U.S. citizen, so there's no tracking of this thing. So that's a big reason, was like, we want to keep American workers employed.
right.
And the credit's given to the first person that gets it. So basically, not as many credits go out as you would think you're giving out, because majority of businesses are small businesses. There's only one Walmart, one Target. There's only like a handful of large corporations. So since 90% of businesses are under 100 people, a lot of these credits are missed. They're just not even, they're just stepping over it like, it's not a thing, because they don't know what it is. But if they understood, you could have got a bunch of money over the years as you have 5 W-2 employees or whatever you have. You could have got a bunch of money when you rehire people, like you lost someone and found a new person. You can get paid for that. So these are things that, again, like the life insurance conversation, we just don't have this information. And it's out there. Everything I'm saying, you can Google. If you ever heard of Google, everything I just said, you can find online. So if you look up work opportunity tax credit or WOTC, you will see articles about Amazon using it. You'll see Walmart articles, Costco. You'll see it in the news section of Google. But then if you just look it up, the IRS webpage pops up and says, this is how you do it. And the biggest reason is bandwidth. The reason is like, I got to fill out a form at a certain time and I got to screen people. Most business owners' job is to make decisions. They get paid to make decisions. So they don't have time to go through. I'm not going to screen every single person and go through all this and fill out this form. I don't have time for that. So they don't want to pay someone else to do it. So they just kind of move on to it. So what I'm saying is certain insurance carriers will do that for you. They'll help you screen the people to see if they qualify for credit, and they'll help you with the process for filling out paperwork. So it's not a sexy thing, but when the results happen, Jeff Bezos paid $0 in taxes. The hard part was doing the infrastructure to do it. But when you see the headline of like, he didn't pay 0 in taxes, or wait a minute, that's what we pay attention to, not actually the creation of that process.
Wow, this is such good tea. So in addition to having an accountant, a financial advisor, we need to have an insurance expert, somebody like yourself on the team, just so that we can make sure that we make the best decisions possible for our business. And really, that's what business ownership is all about. It's about, like I said, decreasing those expenses, increasing those revenues, and then your net profit should be fatter if you do those things. And so it's just about being strategic and surrounding ourselves by people that know the information that we need to make ourselves profitable. So that's the part that comes in as it pertains to you, because I had never heard that before.
Oh yeah, plenty. I talk to black folks about that a lot, and they rarely, in all different ages. So they'll be 50, 20, 60, all different ages. Like, I never heard about that. And that's my kind of mission, is just sharing the information, because if you know better, you can do better.
Exactly.
And these are just things I didn't know when I was younger. I wish I would have known when I was a kid, because all these things you've seen Titans at Disney, McDonald's got sort of a life insurance too. If you watch that movie with Kevin Costner, when he bought it from the McDonald's brothers, he could buy a McDonald's, but he couldn't pay payroll. So he used his life insurance to pay for it. He borrowed against his life insurance. J.C. Penney's, they're about to go bankrupt, and they say, you know what, let's borrow against his life insurance. So A lot of these companies that we see now that are mega companies, something happened. Spanx, I think Spanx was another one. Spanx used life insurance. So there's so many companies that have used this strategy, but we skip over that part.
Yes.
You look at the Elon Musk and all this great creative energy and all this stuff. We don't look at like, well, what's the guts behind that? That's the flash and pizzazz, but like what financially did that? So if you just pay attention to it, there's a lot of resources out there, but just have an insurance person, because most times most people's insurance agent is their auto insurance person or their financial advisor. And like I don't do investment advice. So it would be bad to ask me about stocks. I play in the stock market, but I wouldn't be the best person. So same thing like a financial advisor. They know stocks and investments, but they don't know life insurance. So all the time I have owners say, well, can I talk to you about this? Because I got life insurance, but my person never told me this. So just ask. Just ask and you shall receive. There's plenty of information out there about it. You can nerd out on it if you want to, but my job is to make it fun and easy and what you need. So a lot of times I'm educating on options for business owners. I'm not saying what they did is bad, because I don't want to keep people thinking they got switched because they talked to me. I'll say, hey, that plan's good. If you got something good, I'll tell you it's good. If it's not good, I'll say, well, that was good at the time, but you're older or something changed in your business. Yeah, just kind of change things. So I appreciate you giving some highlight to this.
Yeah, it's important. Like I tell people all the time, while I might be able to, bake a cookie, baking a cookie is not my area of expertise, right? I'm not going to try to do that for a living because I know that's not my area of expertise. I stick with what I'm great at. And then I bring in people around me when I have a goal that I need to accomplish, or if I'm trying to, like I said, grow a brand. You want to bring in people that have the expertise and the skill sets to do what's needed in your business to help your brand to grow. So this is one of those things. We want to be able to make sure that when we're hiring employees in the US, that we understand what employees are looking for and that we can meet those standards. Like you said, the standards have gone up. And so we want to be able to compete in the market. And so having someone like yourself who's saying, hey, these are the trends. This is what we see moving right now. These are some of the new tax benefits that you would have as an employer, so that we can now continue to grow our employee stick with our employee expectations, if not exceed them. So this is really, really good information. I love the fact that you are bringing this forth. Is there anything else that you would like for business owners and entrepreneurs to know down when we're traveling down this vein?
Just I guess the last thing to understand, you can have similar benefits to a Fortune 100 company as a solopreneur. It is not as insurmountable as you think it is. So people that left corporate are often kind of scared. It's like, I'm scared to leave corporate. So it's not super difficult to create similar options. I understand they're helping pay for some of your benefits, but you can have similar classes to what your Fortune 100 companies have. So don't be scared, just ask. Just find out what's available and you can always build on that.
I love it. I love it, DARYL. And you guys can find DARYL on LinkedIn under DARYL Perry. He's right there on LinkedIn. You can contact him. His phone number, all of the information that you would need if you just say like, wait, I don't want to, do anything online. I would prefer to actually talk to him. He has his phone number listed there. All of his emails are listed on there. You want to make sure you go over there and follow him. He has a really good following, guys. So that means that something that he's doing is working. People are recognizing him and they see the asset and the benefit in being connected. So make sure that you guys go over to LinkedIn and follow him there. What is the most important lesson you've learned over your career?
Consistency. I say consistency. A lot of business, it's monotonous stuff you got to do over and over again. And that's also not flashy and attractive. But that's what wins. I mean, when I began my agency, I didn't have a book of business. I didn't know anybody. So I just kept cold calling people consistently. And I started with Aflac was the first start of my agency. I was number 1 in the state with half the year, the number 2 in the company for new accounts, all from cold calling on the phone. And I would just every day, I would say, I'm going to not leave until I get 2 appointments. That's kind of my daily mantra. And I just did it every single day. So consistency will help make you rid of anything, especially business.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. And my last question to you before we leave for today, tell us about the bow ties, because that's a part of you branding yourself.
Yeah, so basically, and the add-on to that cold call story, people wouldn't see me. So I was calling them on the phone, and then I would always wear a bow tie. Is kind of a thing my wife got me to wearing bow ties. So I would always tell people when I hang up the phone, say, "Hey, how will I know who you are?" So I'll be the guy at the bow tie sitting at the front.
I love it.
My mentor kept hearing me say that, like, the guy at the bow tie, I like that. And I was like, I never thought about that as a branding thing. Then I just show up with it all the time. And then actually a follower called me the notorious BTG for bow tie guy. Like, I didn't make that up as a follower. And I'm rapping on LinkedIn and stuff like that. She's like, "Oh, the notorious BTG in the house." I'm like, "Oh, that sounds cool." Yes. So some of it's accidental, but that was the main thing, was just me telling people when I meet them, I'll be the guy at the bow tie. And they wouldn't even know my name. They just say, "Yeah, some guy at the bow tie does my insurance." I'm fine with that.
Okay. I love it. So y'all make sure y'all hook up with the notorious BTG, honey. Get this tea. And make sure that you are doing what you need to do to grow your brand. I love the advice that he gave in terms of consistency as a business owner, setting those small goals, even though they don't seem like big goals. Setting those small goals to set yourself up for success is so important. Let's see. Do you have any last comments? Let the people know if there are additional ways that they can find you.
No, I mean, LinkedIn's definitely a good place for me. There's about 28,000 followers there, so that's definitely a place you'll find me. But just my mantra is have a plan, not a plea. So whatever you decide to do, just have a plan, not a plea when it comes to protecting yourself.
Right. Good. Thank you so much, DARYL, for joining us this evening. We really appreciate you for being on the platform. The information that you shared has been invaluable, and we are going to be in touch. Like, this is going to be a continual working relationship, a partnership between us and BIMP Corporation and yourself and your business. So once again, I want to say thank you so much for joining us this evening. You have a blessed evening, and I'll be in touch. And guys, make sure that you reach out to DARYL.
Thank you so much, Queen. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
It's a For Us By Us extravaganza in celebration and support of Black brands and Black business excellence. Ignite Youth Incorporated presents to you Harlem Nights with a Modern Twist 2022 extravaganza, October 14 through 16, 2022. Business owners, entrepreneurs, and executives, join us for an exclusive B2B networking brunch. Families, enjoy our kids zone. Shop Black business vendors and eat from the best food trucks at our vendor festival. Grown folk, come party with us as we dance the night away. Check out our Harlem Nights fashion show. Designs by fashion designers from all around the country. Enjoy casino games, signature cocktails, good eats, and our awards ceremony at our cocktail reception. Harlem Nights 2022 extravaganza will be an event you don't want to miss. Harlem Nights with a Modern Twist 2022 extravaganza, October 14 through 16, 2022, in lovely downtown St. Petersburg, Florida. We'll see you there. To learn more, pre-register for tickets, or as a vendor, visit www.mybimp.com.
All right, guys. So I hope that you all enjoyed our expert advisor segment of the show. I hope that you took plenty of notes and that you have some good stuff to go on, and that you book your consultation with Mr. DARYL Perry. Now we've come to the point in the show where we need to make sure that our GPS is on point. We got to make sure that we're heading in the right direction today with Coach Siku Obadiah. He is here once again to share his guiding principles for success with us. I hope that you all have your notebooks and pens handy. My producer just took my notebook, so I'm gonna get it back when we bring Coach back onto our platform. And now we want to welcome to the show Coach Siku Obadiah. How you doing, Coach? Welcome.
Hello again. Good afternoon and good evening and good day, depending on where you are in the universe.
Yes, Coach. Again. We missed you last week, but I am so glad that you are here this evening with us. We want to get this tea for the guiding principles for success from you tonight. Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
All right. Let's go. The floor is yours, Coach.
Great. Well, before I get started into my own presentation tonight in the guiding principles for success, I just want to make a comment on your last guest. As a personal financial analyst myself, I do understand what he's saying. Unfortunately, where we are, it's not a lack of information is our issue. Our issue is not a lack of resources. Anything that you want to find out is on the internet or in the library. If you need information, information is available. Life insurance is one of those products that is not bought. It has to be sold. So you have to really, because the way we think, we don't think about financial planning and about wealth and wealth conservation and wealth transfer. That's not a topic in our universe. And because it's not a topic in our universe, it all comes back from who we are, what our mindset is. Because if I don't love myself enough, well, let me reverse that. If I love myself enough, I would want the absolute best for myself in every aspect of my life, if I love myself. And because of the love I have for myself, I would relate that same love to others, to my children, to my family. And because of the love I have for myself, my children, my community, and my family, I would then want to research information that would benefit me, my children, and my generation.
Gotcha.
And if I don't love myself, the self-hate that I have internally, not something that I deliberately do because of conditional programming, I don't have inside what it takes to be able to think externally about anything that could benefit me as a human being, let alone my family. So the last thing on our plate is about taking care of my kids or my grandkids. We're not even taking care of ourselves. We're not taking care of our health. We're not taking care of our finances. We're not even taking care of ourselves. It all comes from programming. So these sessions that I'm doing, it is the reason why I do what I do. I really want to help people to get a chance to reach within. Because if we can reach within and remove some of those baggages and fix the things that are affecting us, we will develop sufficient self-love that we can then get into financial planning. Financial planning and all those things is not an individual stuff, because most times financial planning is about age 65 and after, and more importantly, for the next generation. We don't think that. That's not even in our psyche. It's not in our mindset. And because of that, it's difficult to talk life insurance, even though life insurance is the foundation of every financial plan. We don't need to get into that. And for most of us, when we start taking life insurance, we believe if I start to talk about wills and estate planning, it means that I'm going to be thinking about my death. Not really, but lastly, last point on that. Within the Jewish community, it's almost mandatory. So you cry when there's a funeral, you cry and you're sobbing, but soon as the tears are dried, it's time to start smiling, because you know that this family is going to get hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in some life insurance, because we absolutely have to die. So if I know that I absolutely have to die, instead of spending all this tax money we getting on sneakers and all kind of stuff, I can take a very small part of that and ensure that the next generation is taken care of. But we don't think that way.
Wow, that is good.
Principle for success. This guiding principle for success really is about exposing us and exposing our people to things that we can maybe think a little bit differently, inspire, motivate, that we can take the proper actions to take care of loving ourselves individually and loving our community, and collectively we can do things to make the change that is necessary to remove us from the bondage that kept us where we are for all of these years. And if we don't, it's going to continue. No matter how much information we have, no matter how much resources are poured towards us, if I don't fix the things that inside of me, the effects of negative experiences, if I don't fix the negative programming, the thing that kept me back, if I don't fix those things, information, tools, resources are nothing more than tools for the person with a made-up mind. So tonight, I'm going to start a 3 parts on communication.
Okay.
And the reason why I'm going to do a three part, because it is very voluminous and it's very important and essential. So tonight, we're going to start part 1 on sight. And I'm going to start by quoting Wolfgang Goethe. It's a German author that was credited for this quote. He said, "Look at a man the way he is, and he only becomes worse. But if you look at a man as if he were what he could be, then he could rise to become what he should be."
Wow.
It's all about sight. So when we talk about sight, I want to remind people that everything that you have more than enough. Anything that you want to be, you really are more than enough, because you were created by a powerful God with an unbelievable mind to design the life that you choose and live the life that you could. Then why be settled for less?
Right.
These principles for success are designed to help you to open up and explore that you could make the changes and live the way you want to live. On today's topic, we're going to talk about seeing. What do you see when you look out? Remember that the sight is not only physical sight, but when you look out, the way you feel is also part of what you see, because what you see is really a reflection of what's inside. Michael Jackson talked about the man in the mirror. Well, when I look out, what I see is one thing, what I physically see. How I interpret what I see is a direct reflection from what's happening on the inside.
Wow.
My eyes are nothing more pretty much than a glance to the inner side of my soul. That's what my eyes are. So when I look at my surroundings, how do I view the world? How do I view my circumstances? How do I view my condition? When I look at people, what is my view of people that I come into contact with? What is my view? All of my views, my sight, is a reflection of how I feel on the inside.
Wow.
So let's talk about the mirrored view. The mirrored view. If I am insecure, if I feel insecure, if I have all kinds of trust issues based on the things that have happened to me in the past, those issues that I have that allow me to have insecurity and trust issues puts me in a position where it becomes difficult for me to trust people. So everybody that comes around me, I'm always fearful of this person going to take advantage of me. It's not that the person going to take advantage of you. Yes, you need to be protective, because hurt people hurt other people.
Right.
But the reason why we feel the way we feel is because of how we feel on the inside. If I feel insecure, right? If I feel, if I have feelings of fear of failure, fear of success, fear of boundaries, fear of crossing the boundaries, fear of stepping outside of my known. If I have those fear, it becomes very difficult for me to attain things, because in order for you to attain things, to rise to the higher level that you want to attain, you need to step outside of your comfort zone. All of the things, check this out, all of the things that life wants to bring you, that are the greatness that you want, to live the life you want, all of the best things in life are always found outside of your comfort zone.
Wow.
I have to be able to step outside of my comfort zone. But it is difficult for me to step outside of my comfort zone if I am barriered on the inside with fears of trying, fears of failure. And because of those things, we don't try, we don't test things, we don't try new things. Now the scripture said, I ought to knock, seek, and ask. And it's not conditional. It said, if you knock, seek, and ask, it shall be granted unto you.
Yeah.
May I remind my listeners that finding is reserved only for the seeker.
Wow.
But you're not going to be able to seek if you have issues on the inside. You're not going to be able to knock. You're not going to be able to search, because you're always fearful of what people are going to say, how they're going to view me. Well, people's view of you is projected on how you view yourself. I just want to leave this last thought with you as I kind of wrap up on this. Here's the good news. You can change. You're never too old to change. And no matter what you've done in life, it's never too late to change.
Gotcha.
But change begins by making a decision to change. It is my hope that as you listen to me dropping these few words, that the principle on today is sight. In order for me to see the world The way I want the world to appear, I have to see on the inside first. If I can fix me on the inside, then the world around me will fix and adjust to me based on how I view myself. The world is not a bad place, except if I feel it's a bad place. Lastly, we don't have sufficient information to be a skeptic or to be pessimist. We don't. We don't know enough. Therefore, we need to look at the world as though the world is wonderful. Look at the world as though the world is bountiful. Look at the world as though that everything is possible. But those things are only going to be possible if I feel that things are possible for me on the inside. I love myself. I deserve it. It all comes back down to that. So these principles that I bring you are based on things that were created from the tools that I prepared for you. All of the things that you need to help yourself, all of the tools for success can be found on successtoolstore.com. If you go to successtoolstore.com, on there you have a number of a wide variety of all kinds of tools that you can use to help yourself.
Okay.
And the secret to success, which is the last book that I wrote, it's on sale for $1. So if you get that book, The Secret to Success, for $1, go to successtool.com, and I hope that you will take these tools, these little principles, and hope that you're inspired sufficient to make the step. If you are willing and bold enough to make the first step, we have all of the tools and all of the resources to guide you through to the finish line. It has been my honor to spend a few minutes with you in today's guiding principles for success. Bye for now. Stay positive and stay inspired until we meet again. And I shall see you at the top. Coach Siku signing off.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you so much. Thank you. Listen, guys, that was a good old treat we had at the end of this segment. Was just awesome. So I hope that you all took away a lot of tools to assist with, business, making money, and then on the personal side, healing and restoration and repair within ourselves. Guys, don't forget that this season 5, our theme is the repair of the Black family. And we learned back on the first episode of T-Shirts and Tea Tuesdays that repair of the Black family has to do with us first as individuals. And so this is what Coach Siku Obadias was saying about, listen, we have to get with ourselves. We have to begin to, a lot of us adopt a lot of the trauma and the things that happen in the result of those effects from the trauma as something that belongs to us personally. This is just who I am. But these things we were conditioned to believe that based upon the experiences that we went through. And so what Coach has given us is he's given us some really good tools to succeed and to overcome these obstacles and things of that nature. He's also discussed previously that a lot of the things that we inherit are things that have been taught to us from generation to generation. So if I'm paranoid that somebody's taking advantage of me, 9 times out of 10, it came from whatever parent raised you. And then we think that those are generational curses because they've come down the bloodline over time. But those are things that have been taught to us. And it's not to dishonor the parent, the grandparent, the uncle or the aunt, who raised us, because they do the best that they can. But what we should do with each generation is get better and better. And so these are the things that we want to bring up and out so that we can soar with wings as eagles, that we can get to the heights that we are supposed to go to, so that we can accomplish the things in life that we are supposed to accomplish. We cannot do those things when we have all of this stuff weighing us down. Right? We can't. We have to, if we want to soar, we gotta alleviate a lot of these traumas, a lot of the baggage, a lot of the burdens. So with that being said, please make sure that you go to Coach's website, school tool successtoolstore.com. That's www.successtoolstore.com. And guys, make sure that you buy his book. You saw the book, it's $1. This Hidden Secrets to Success. Come on now, we can invest $20 a month into ourselves. The Hidden Secrets to Success by Coach Siku Obadiah. So guys, make sure that you head over to the store. We're going to close tonight by saying thank you so much for tuning in to T-Shirts and Tea Tuesdays. We do hope to see you on next Tuesday. And guys, we hope that you have a fabulous, terrific, and beautiful week, and that you enjoy your weekend, and that you stay safe and blessed. And with that, we will see you on Thursday evening for BIMP on the Spot with Taz. And we will see you back on here Tuesday evening, T-Shirts and Tea Tuesdays. God bless you and have a wonderful evening. Goodbye.